Many years ago, when I helped develop a product called That's a Fact, Jack, it was a high technology game show with a game show host, Jack Patterson. And at that time, although we were writing higher order thinking questions in a game show format, it was really dependent on the child or student reading the whole book before they played the game. I went to visit a gentleman who you may know named Jim Trelease, who is well known as a speaker and an author who wrote the Read Aloud Handbook. And I had read that book in preparation for a child being born and brought into my life named Drew. And I was sitting in his living room discussing the process used for the game show That's a Fact, Jack. And he said something that forever changed my direction with the development of the methodology that you're about to experience. What he said to me was, Andy, this is a great idea, but what I would do differently is I wouldn't put the burden on the child of reading the book, the whole book, before they play the game. He said what I would do is read aloud to them. You'll even the playing field so that children who can understand and comprehend about 2 years beyond what their reading level is will then be on an more even playing field with those who can read better and comprehend better. So from that point on, this methodology changed, and that's why we write questions for chapters rather than the whole book. And the key component for the first step in this process now is to read aloud or read along. And as you'll see as we play the game and get into the discussion part for the step 2 and 3 of this process, you'll understand a little bit more why that's really important. Because what we're trying to do is drive the students into the book to understand what the author was trying to say. Now, along that line, let me just explain a couple things. You can do this in a couple of ways. You can read aloud or have them read aloud to each other, which is another strategy for elocution, which is a really good idea. Or you can do something a little bit different because not everyone's comfortable with reading aloud to students. You can use audio devices. For example, you can use a Nano or an iPod or an MP3 player or, my favorite, a playaway. And you can use speakers to let the whole student assembly, whether it's 5 students or 30 students or an auditorium of students, listen to literacy modeling at what I believe is its best, with multiple voices, usually actors, sometimes the author, background music, and let them read along or just listen. It doesn't really matter because they'll get into reading along, as you'll see down the road when they have to defend their answers. So you put them in a position where it's the best possible situation for them to really understand. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at a little bit of a video of what that looks like in a classroom.
Then you put your key in the ignition and I stopped you. I couldn't let you drive away.
It's still 2 blocks away, but I know that it's there at the stop sign.
You shut your eyes and said, Hannah, I'm not drunk. Well, I didn't accuse you of being drunk, Jenny, but I was wondering why the hell you couldn't keep your car on the road. It's raining, you said. And yes, true, it was.